Mike, I'm tired of this world.
Me too, man.
I want to live in a fantasy world.
Me too, man.
So let's do that. These will be the top 10 board game worlds that we want to live in. What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We're the Brothers Murph, and yeah, today we're talking about the top 10 board game worlds that we want to live in. Because a lot of times board games
So many that look
aren't
amazing.
even necessarily set in like fantasy or sci-fi worlds. They're just set in a world that's not our own.
Exactly.
And they look really nice.
They look really nice. There's just some that are just so lush and beautiful. And I'm like, man, if I could vacation there at least, I
I'm
would
trying to take a holiday, yeah.
love to do that. So these are going to be 10 games that we think have really cool board game worlds.
Our number 10 board game world that we want to live in is Dreadful Meadows. I like candy. At the time we're recording this, it's very near Halloween, so it's probably just on my mind as well. I love candy, and Dreadful Meadows is all about being a candy farmer, ultimately. It's this cool, like, kind of fantasy world set in kind of spoopiness, where there's like one big, like, eyeball guy, and one guy kind of looks like Jack Skellington, but has a pumpkin head instead. And you essentially are gonna have one of these characters and you're gonna have some kind of asymmetrical power, but mostly what you're doing is you're getting these candy patches. And these candy patches you will then put out into a growing tile tableau that you have. And these candy patches you will then grow candy on, and then you will harvest them to then mostly fulfill contracts. And it's really, really fun. It's super, super cool, and it's got this just cool world where there's like gummy globs, and there's like dreadful candy, and there's like pumpkin pops and treacle teeth, and just all this. It's just dripping with theme in this game. But it's just this cool, really, really pretty candy world where you're just all these different these candy confectioners. You know, you're these spoopy confectioner farmers, and it's really cool. And then you can also put down these harvesters that will then kind of harvest the stuff for you. And it's just really, really cool. I think it's a really pretty world, and I just think it's an awesome, awesome theme that's done so well. And I look at that world, I'm like, it's colorful, it looks like there's candy everywhere. I wanna live there.
So number 9 is Mythic Mischief. This is an abstract game where you are like different monster factions in a monster school. And that for us is what like just makes us love this game so much. It's very chess-like, the game ultimately. There's a tome keeper that's coming around and trying to catch students who are basically in the library after hours. So what keeps us getting back to this world? I love the idea of this kind of like boarding school, but it's just different monsters, but they kind of follow like typical archetypes that we associate with teen movies. So you have like the jocks, and you have like the nerdy kids and the theater kids, but now they're like trolls and werewolves and things. It's just awesome. I love that in the game you are sneaking around like a magical library after hours, and you all have abilities and stuff, so you can move the walls, the bookshelves, and move your opponents in different ways to get them into trouble. I could just see this playing out like as a Netflix show. I would love to see an animated version of this where you have like the different factions. You're like, man, you know, we're the jocks, we're super cool. And you're just like, you're literally undead. And like the interactions that could happen with that just like crack me up. The art is so just fun. It's incredibly fun. The minis are incredible. It's just a world that I think will be just so awesome to watch. And I would just want to be like a little like gnome who's just like, what's up guys? Just going to, I don't know, do watering of stuff. I don't know, they're gardeners or something. Who knows? It's just great.
Number 8 is going to be a sci-fi world called Circadians First Light. Circadians First Light is a Garphill game, and it is set kind of in the future where you have a bunch of different factions, and you're kind of playing in this game the human faction. There's another game set in this world called Chaos Order. We do not want to live in that game, even though it's technically the same world. The reason why we want to specifically live in Circadians First Light is because in this game, you are very friendly with everyone. There's a whole bunch of different alien races, and you can do things like trade with them. And you're basically on a new world, and you're trying to get things like algae and like water, and you're building up your farms and stuff. You're basically building up industry and stuff like that. But it's just a really cool looking world. All the people in the game look like, all the humans are just look really cool. They just like have like cool looks, and they just look like really fun, cool, hip people, you know? And then on top of that, one thing I like about it is you have all these alien races, but they're all friendly, at least with you right now. If you're playing the game Chaos Order, then you're kind of all fighting and stuff like that because it's set in the same world. But at least at this time of Circadians First Light, I want to live there. I really like Sam Phillips, who's Shem Phillips' brother. Sam Phillips does all the art for these games, also games like Legacy of You, Hadrian's Wall. He does the art for those games. I really like this art style as well, and so it just looks really pretty. I like the concept of like sci-fi, future space stuff, but it's also nice to see that where it's not just like fighty, which I get. That's a very good way to make games, very good way to make like shows and movies and things like that too, right? It's like, it's kind of boring. Like everyone gets along. But if I'm talking about a world I want to live in, I want to live in the world where everyone's getting along, because those aliens, I feel like would just murder me. So I'm really, really into the world of Circadians First Light. Not quite so much Chaos Order because it's a little more fighty, but no, Circadians First Light is our number 8.
Number 7 is Histrio. Now, of course, I'm a theater buff. I'm in rehearsals for a play right now, in fact, so the theater is always really important to me. And this game imagines kind of a classic theater troupe, but all of the actors and acrobats and stuff are animals. And this game, of course, does such a beautiful job with such vibrant, incredible art to bring this world to life. This is, you know, a world that clearly values the arts. They have like caravels and like sky ships and things. So it's like technologically advanced and wonderful, but also very whimsical still. And I just like the idea that like, we're just all here trying to keep the king happy, whose mood switches and stuff. So we can put on a comedy and a tragedy in equal turn, no problem. We can do whatever the king wants. We just want to make them happy. And you're doing this in the game ultimately through simultaneous action selection to try to get a lot of cards and hopefully be the only person that chose a certain location, because if multiple people choose the same location, all those cards go away, unfortunately. So there's just fun, simple mechanisms as you build this tableau of actors. But like, again, the art is just so fun. It feels true to me in the way that the styles are and the kind of attitude that everyone has, the can-do-ness of actors and stuff. It just feels beautiful and right and true, but they're wonderful, fantastical animals, and that's just way cooler than human beings.
Number 6 is a world where if you don't want to live here, I don't get it. It's My Little Scythe. Scythe? Don't want to live in that world at all. It looks terrible. It looks cold. Everyone looks sad all the time. There's just like big mechs and everyone's just like working the fields. Like, this is a fun life. My Little Scythe is where you can take all the animals that are in Scythe, make them way cuter, and then the game is literally just about making as much friendship as possible. Why would you not want to live there? All you do is make friends and have pie fights. It's awesome. It's just in this magical kingdom where you basically are going around and kind of doing a lot of things like Scythe. It's actually, I think, a kind of good gateway game to Scythe, because there are a lot of things that are very Scythe-like, where you are moving your pawn onto a different part of your board and doing that action. You are moving around your pieces. You are gaining, instead of like resources, you know, like oil and all those things, you're getting gems and you're getting apples. You can also turn those apples into pies, and you can have little battles, but your battles are just pie fights. So instead of, you know, wagering your power like you do in Scythe, you're wagering pies. It's ultimately the same thing, but it's just way cuter and way more fun. And you are putting resources out on the board, and if you put it with someone else, you gain more friendship. Instead of popularity, you have like a friendship track, but you also have the different objectives that you're going for. You're trying to have a certain amount of this, a certain amount of that, putting stars down. It's very Scythe-like, just easier and way cuter and way more fun to live in. And that's what this list is about. Ultimately, I'd rather play Scythe the game. But if we're talking about games I want to live in, My Little Scythe is way up there because it's super cute animals, super cute world, freaking pie fights galore, and it's all about friendship. I love it.
Number 5 is Cosmoctopus, and this basically comes down to the simple fact there is an adorable octopus on the cover. However, it's not just an adorable octopus, this is the great inky one. They are a galactic octopus that basically runs the universe, and we all like just want to worship this octopod, I'll say. So this game is just like one that I'm like, man, if we just found out this was how it was, this is truth. There's this great octopus in the sky, and we need to do things to kind of, you know, have them come in and touch our lives with one of the tentacles of truth. I'd be happy with that. I could get with that premise all day long. We always say with board games, it's like, listen, make a unique theme, make something that's fun, interesting, adorable, whatever it might be, something that grabs you. And this is one that when we first heard about it, all we saw was just like the cover, adorable pink octopus on a cosmic scale. And I was like, I'm sold, say no more, we're good to go. That is Cosmoctopus.
Number 4 is really because of the reader in us, and this is Ex Libris. Both Mike and I are pretty big readers, and especially I read almost exclusively fantasy and sci-fi. I love fantasy and sci-fi because I use reading as a way to escape from the world. And so I love, love, love fantasy. And Ex Libris is set in a fantasy world where you run a library, kind of a fantasy library. Every person is given a different librarian. Those librarians are different fantasy creatures. There's like a Bigfoot one, like a witch, a big snowman. There's a whole bunch of them. You can be like a gelatinous cube running a library, which is great. And all those characters are going to have some kind of special ability, do something slightly different. And you are then collecting books, and the books have different themes. There are a couple of different genres. There's like potions and spells. There's like historical books. There's like monster manuals and fantastical fictions and all these different kinds of genres. And you're essentially getting a library situated, and you are making your library alphabetical, making it nice and tidy and clean, and trying to organize it in a way where your patrons can come in and enjoy it. And it's really tough to do so. You're trying to put, again, these cards that have books on them in alphabetical and numerical order. You want your shelf to be very sturdy. You don't want it to be like this weird shape. You want it to be like square because that's a very sturdy shelf. There's a whole bunch of, there's certain books that you want a lot of, certain books that are like banned and you don't want any of those books. You know, there's a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of really tough decisions in a good worker placement game. But I really love the world. I love reading. I always have dreams someday of having a big library where I have one of those like ladders that's on freaking wheels that I can like go around. Like everyone has that dream, right? Like Beauty and the Beast's library. Like I get why Bella's like, this place freaking rocks. I love it. And Ex Libris is just a cool fantasy world. Like, I don't know, and everyone's library is in their space. So like the Bigfoot's library is like way out in the woods. And I'm like, oh, that looks so nice. That sounds so cool. So yeah, I love Ex Libris. I want to live in that world all day.
Number 3 is Dinosaur World. I know what you're saying is like, well, you just want to live in Jurassic Park. No, I don't. Things always go bad there. I want to live in Dinosaur World, where basically the difference is that like dinosaurs might be like neon pink, which is just cool. So this is a game though, like for real. If we could avoid the people getting eaten part, which probably we can't, but if we could, this game, you get to build out all these different enclosures and structures, and then you get to take a little Jeep on a tour and see all these glorious things. And I'm like, man, if ever we had that, where we could see dinosaurs just like walking through a field, that would be amazing. That'd be so incredible. I wish it could exist. It's probably better that it doesn't. We probably should just leave them in the past. But if I could boop into that world for 1 second, just go on one tour and see these dinosaurs and not have anyone get eaten, or in the game you deal with boredom, not everyone be bored and over it. I want everyone to be as stoked as I am. Oh, it'd be incredible. So just Jurassic Park, we're not talking about Jurassic Park, but if we were, Jurassic Park was a very instrumental film in my childhood. It's the first thing I remember going to see in the theaters, at the drive-ins and stuff. You know, as someone who got their mind blown back then, I've never gotten over it. And so the fact that Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur World, the Rar and Ride, Duelosaur Island, all of these exist and allow me to kind of play out the fantasy of running one of these parks, it's incredible. It's the closest we'll probably get to seeing that in real life, and that's cool enough for me. So that's Dinosaur World.
Number 2, I think, is an obvious one. This is Flamecraft, because Flamecraft is maybe the cutest world ever made. I want to live in Flamecraft. Flamecraft is a world where you have dragons everywhere, but they're not big, scary dragons. They are cute little like helper dragons, but they're not like helpers like pets. They're like companions. They're like kind of equals. And basically every person in this town has a job, like a blacksmith, or like you work at like the bakery, or you work at the fancy restaurant, and you all have, every one of these places has some kind of like companion dragon that helps out there. So at the bakery, there's a big fire breathing dragon that's breathing fire underneath to help bake the bread. There are like waiter dragons hanging out with all the different waiter friends. There are ones at the blacksmith, like working the bellows and stuff. And it's just so cool. Like, think of it this way. If you like dogs or cats or whoever, hippos, whatever, think of your dog, how much you love your dog. And if your dog is super cute, because obviously it's a dog, and that dog could then like talk to you and like help you out with your work. Like say you're a carpenter and they're just like, hey, yeah, right? Bones, am I right? I wanna go chase a ball later. How great would that be? That's essentially what Flamecraft is, except for with dragons. It's amazing. I love that world. The game itself is a super kind of light game, kind of action selection where you're going to different places, getting dragons, putting those dragons kind of at places that make sense for them. It's really, really fun, super cute, kind of gateway level game, but that's a world that more than anything I wanna live in. It's so good.
Number one for us is easy. This is Tidal Blades. The reason this is easy is because the game started as a world, and then a game developed from that. So Mr. Cuddington did the art for Tidal Blades, and they were kind of challenged you, like, create a board game world. Create a world that you think a board game could exist in, but like, your focus is just the universe of this game. And then Tidal Blades came out of it. So what we have is an incredibly rich, wonderful water world that is so beautifully blue. And in this world, I'll say like there are monsters from the past and they're starting to threaten us again in Tidal Blades, but we're gonna take the other aspects where basically we're all hanging out in the water, riding jet skis around, having a grand old time, and people are doing like, you know, American Ninja Warrior stuff in front of us. And we're just having a blast watching these like challenges and stuff. I would go watch that day after day. I'd pay any amount of money. It doesn't matter. I just want to go live in that world, and then I get bored for a second. I just go take a dip in the most magical waters and then ride my jet ski around to the next event, to the Chronoceum or whatever it is. It'd be so cool. And I would be a spectator. So when the monsters rise up, I could be like, hey, Tidal Blades, there you go. Have fun. I'm not going to be participating in that half. I'm just gonna stay over here and sip on my like coconut drink. It's gonna be amazing. It's just so beautifully blue. I mean, people like to vacation in the tropics and stuff, and that's really kind of just me wanting to go on vacation, I think. But it's like a little mini vacation when you play Tidal Blades. So those are some game worlds that we really want to live in, and talking about the games, of course, themselves.
Yeah,
as well.
it's just, any of them seem, at first, when we first started, we're like, oh, like Vagrant Song's a really cool world. We're like, I don't know if I'd want to live in that world.
It's like sort of on a forever haunted train. I don't know if that's actually that cool. It looks neat, but I think it'd be terrifying in real life.
But yeah, a couple other honorable mentions. We didn't mention like Creature Comforts or Everdell. Both those like super cute, comfy
Comfiest
worlds.
life of all time.
Isle of Cats, if you're a cat person, could be really, really cool.
I want to live in the world of Honey Buzz, where you're just like doing like swinging deals for nectar with bees and stuff. They're like running their own economy.
All the animals seem to get along really well.
Yeah, it's
really
like very
nice.
peaceful. It's great.
But then those are our favorite games, board game worlds that we would really want to live in. Down in the comments below, let us know what board game, maybe something weird, maybe the world of chess.
What game transports you more than all? Hit those in the comments. Until next time, I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph. We'll catch you all in the next top 10.
Bye, everybody.